Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Gamer, and we are playing Hearts of Iron 4, playing as the Empire of Japan, and we are closing in on the United States. So, we have cut off Mexico, we have landed on the East Coast and expanded our holdings there, as well as the approach on the West Coast. So, in between episodes I did go ahead and reorganize our forces a little bit. We now have Mountaineer divisions. They are fairly standard 20 division with support equipment. So pretty good unit, but not too exciting. They are right now a little bit low on experience because they need to find into their new role. These were our Marines before, and they're now called the Special Forces. Right, so they are pretty good, and some of them were beaten up pretty heavily. So we have one division here that is coming from the West Coast, and that was, from the East Coast, of course, and that is very, very low on organization and material. I think we've also actually lost a division, so we've seen a lot of convoys being sunk here around Florida by American aircraft. But yeah, it's too unfortunate, but all in all, I think, we're doing fine. We also are still seriously lacking artillery, so that is a big issue, and I would actually like to remify that a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go the final step over here in the inter-service rivalry, which is one of the special Japanese focuses, and we are going to form raiding regiments. That's going to give us a little bit more factory output at the cost of dockyard output, and it's also going to give us a little bit more special forces capabilities, so that's alright. That now allows us to produce more artillery guns. We are producing more than 100 a day, but still we've been very consistently struggling to fill out our requirements over there. That also means that we can recruit a couple of more Mountaineer divisions, so let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that I think is alright. They will also need more artillery, but it's not too much, I think, so yeah, that's gonna be alright, and I think fine. Good. So how many is that then? That is, I think it should be, so we have 11 over here, and we are recruiting, what, 13? Recruiting 13, yes, so that's great. Good. In other news, I realized that, so I reordered all of these fronts. I think we're gonna hold a little while just before we expand too much. Again, just so our forces can recover a little bit. But I did realize our friends, our allies here, our divisions from Manchuria are very, very low on strength, and that is a problem because I think they have too little manpower. So we're gonna go ahead and with the 5th Allied Army over here, currently centered around Afghanistan, we are gonna disband all of these forces. All of the experience, all of that will be lost, but it does mean that Manchuria should now have a lot more manpower. 54,000. I'm not sure whether that's even gonna be enough to reinforce all of these divisions, but it's certainly a start, so that is good. Other than that, you can see one of the more interesting arrows I drew across here. That's the fast army. I don't think it's going to be quite as successful, but we are expecting Mexico to capitulate soon, so at that point I want our forces to rearrange over here into the Texas area, so let's see whether we can do that. So without further ado, let's restart the game. I really expect them to collapse pretty soon over here. Durago is, if we take this, I do believe they will lose. We have also done the field hospital number 3 in terms of infantry. We could do the special forces raid, but you know what, I think we're simply going to go with the even better military hospital. Our manpower is running very low here, so that is an issue, and we have very low supplies in some region down here. Really interesting. Right, apparently we are also attacking into here. Does that really make sense for us? I don't think it does. So who's that? That's you? Stop it. You're being supported by someone from over here. You? No, the other one. You. Stop. Good. Alright. Up here things are looking a little bit better. You are doing fine. Might as well go ahead and double down on that so that we can... I mean, these guys are pinned in for the second, so that's alright. But I would really like to kill them outright. And there we go, Mexico has capitulated. Hirohito has announced that the cowardly Mexican nation can no longer withstand the pressure. So what did we get? We did get some infantry equipment that's not great, but also some advanced artillery, 500 pieces of that, and more improved artillery. So these are very, very good news. That's a lot of artillery that we are getting there. Brilliant. And support equipment. So that should elevate our problems here very much, and indeed it does. So that is great to see. We also get some free military factories. I think we would probably like to spend these on more fighter production. How many did we get even? Yeah, about 10, so that's alright. Good. Suddenly we have a lot of steel. Okay, and there are some pockets of American resistance over here, you know. Let's bob these guys. You are attacking from various directions, so that's cool. I think one of you is fine. You're attacking, so all of you should also attack. Good. And then we have this mishmash down here, which I think should soon fall because they don't really have any organization down there. Right, let's get you over there. And then this more or less will collapse fairly soon. These guys we will tell already to become part of the Mexican front line over there. And in Mexico we can apparently do still some advances into some of these areas, trying to cut off, just trying to unbalance the Americans really. Mostly in other news we are a little bit afraid whether... Okay, so you are attacking into there. Can you maybe attack here? Good, you can. Good, good, good. Right, how about you attack into there? That too works out. Fine. Good. Alright, so that will settle itself. Even more free military factories. That's nice. It's also nice to see us having so much steel, although I'm somewhat afraid that that is a little bit of fluke. Primarily because we are producing more and more... Oh, we are repairing quite a lot of our shipping, so I think it's actually fine if we spend up to 29 on that. But yeah, you can see it's going to take only a couple of days and then we probably need the steel again. But you know what, for that time I think it's fine to drastically... Is that roundabout okay? No, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. So yeah. Although I think very soon we are going to get the notification that something is off as well. The most important advances I think though are over here on the American front line, on the West Coast front line, where we are trying to capture quite a bit of their territory. And you gentlemen, why don't you try to get to New York? I think that would be splendid, don't you? Okay, you are also part of this advance, but you should bob that single province down there. Right, and let's actually take one of you to capture this area, just to get the front line ready. Down here we are trying to get our marines into position to advance across these various rivers, which I think is fine. You know what, you're part of this, so act a little bit like it. Try to defend over there. You're coming all the way down there, I don't think that's necessary. As are you. Let's try to get you over here. Good. The Green Front is preparing an advance across the Appalachian Mountains. I don't think it's very promising to do this, specifically not this attack, but we are going to keep it on an active order here. Pretty much for the time being actually, but also so that we can pin down these forces and move into the industrial west coast over here a little bit more aggressively. You can see we still have cavalry divisions over here in our forces in 1946, and this is actual horse cavalry. It's not helicopters or anything, it's just normal artillery, cavalry. Right, some good attacks over there, some ace pilots, that's good to see as well. Yeah, unfulfilled import, really interesting. Will you send us 8 steel at the very least? You will. That does mean we are lacking some, so we need to ask the Germans again. Yeah, there we go. Fantastic. Low manpower, we are well aware of that fact. But on the other hand, on the logistics side, it does seem to look a little bit better. Although anti-tank equipment is starting to run low, I notice. Well, anti-tank equipment, we really... I've somewhat overestimated the American tank capabilities, so we expected them to have a lot in that regard, and they really don't. So I think what we should do is actually shift these guys to be AA guns instead. Yeah, so let's do that. That should free up some anti-tank guns. Well, apparently we need a little bit more, so you know what, on the Green Army we might just do it with all of the anti-tank guns, and even our AA guns do have quite a bit of anti-tank capabilities, so they do have some armored penetration, and that's okay. Why don't you gentlemen try to advance into this empty mountain province? That would certainly help us out a lot. Right, even more free military factories, and I think I should just assign a bunch of these, potentially to our fighters. Well, we could also do a little bit more with the AA, and I presume a little bit more with the anti-tank guns. So that's okay, and then after that we're going to use fighters. We also have 3 dockyards, interesting. So we are producing a lot of convoys. I think we can do a little bit more. Yeah, that's fine. We don't really need them, technically, but I think it's fine to do that anyway. Good. Why are you... what's going on? Dude, we did not lose that unit, right? No, just withdrew to another direction. And we have captured New York. That's excellent news. And let's try to capture Boston as well. Gonna try to bring you over here. And you, sir, can race across over there towards the Great Lakes and try to cut off the Americans. Good. You are part of this front line, so please do understand that you are supposed to attack over there. You, sir, should attack there. Not quite sure why some of these guys seem to be holding out on getting over there, so it's not necessarily the best idea. Good. New York captured. Newark captured. You might as well come up over here to Long Island. Some of our generals are wounded. That's not great. But yeah, other than that, some fine developments up there. How does it look in the south? Pretty okay, I would say. Okay, and who else is part of this front line? You are. I don't think that's appropriate. You should be part of this front line. Good. And you know what? We are going to ask you guys to start this attack. That's not going to go very well, I suppose. But yeah, other than that, the main bit is really to capture the east coast, the 13 colonies territory, and that should hopefully be okay. Trying to shorten our front lines a little. You know what? That guy has taken over that front anyway, so that's great. You're coming into Long Island to capture Providence while you're at it, and you're already coming up there. Great. So that means we can probably stop you here, bring you up here, you here, so that we do get a consistent front line. And that should be okay. Good. You are coming up there. That's maybe do it like this. And you can go like that. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good. Right. So down the south that's okay. Down in the very south. Some Americans over there. This is gonna stop very soon. Let's pick the fast army. You guys are now all part of this attack plan, so you might as well just come up over here. And honestly, this is stupid. It's enough for one guy to capture this area. You're withdrawing from over there. You could come into there instead. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, fine. Good. Let's get a couple of these blue guys and ask you to be part of another front line. We're going to define down here. Which we're going to define down here. They want it over there. Front line. This province. This one. Ah, God damn it. Okay. Another try then. Right, there we go. You're part of this front line. That does not reduce the other one, so that's okay too. And you're supposed to get over here. So there's a little bit of an overlap between these two Manchukuan armies, but you know what? I think that's alright. And we can take you via railroad over there. Okay, this will be bobbed immediately, so that's good. And you know, guys, do move up here quicker. Right, good stuff. We should potentially have a brief look over here on the Middle American Division Army and tell it to garrison pretty much all of Mexico as well. So yeah, I think the distinction here will be Mexico, so you actually need a lot more. 34. Right, there we go. And the California Guard, which it has by now turned into pretty much of US Guard, is fine as is, except it needs 37 divisions, which it doesn't have, but that's alright. Good. Over here, things are developing a little bit better than the last time we looked at it. We might launch an attack with the 4th Army, but I'm still a little bit concerned about the amount of stuff that we have, or rather haven't, so... Also up here it's a nightmare in terms of complexity right now. Okay, you need to attack. And you guys all need to come up to defend. Things down here are alright. Wait. Do capture Boston. I didn't tell you to stop. Okay, good. You are coming up there. Okay, everything alright so far. We should, for the 5th Army here, tell it to be a little bit more proactive. Insufficient resources, yeah. And resistance to occupation. Down here, interesting. Okay. And we will need to take care of the occupation in the West Coast area, East Coast area, I'm sorry, at some point as well. Okay, so the attack up here is starting to wear a little bit thin. This is no attack plan of anyone. This will just be dealt with by these divisions. Right, so we do need a lot more forces up here in the north, I'm afraid. Let's try to bring them up by railroad. You're coming in like that. I would really like to cut them off over there. And this motorized division, it's not ideal, but let's do it a little bit differently like that. Okay. Otherwise, all of these front lines will collapse in on themselves, I'm afraid. Who's attacking here? And why? Well, we might as well support them. How do you look in terms of construction? We are building up a lot of naval and raid installations. Pennsylvania infrastructure, I think, is extremely important because Pennsylvania does have a lot of steel. And that's cool. Okay, so you are bopping that guy. Should collapse fairly soon. There we go. And then you're coming up all the way over here. And that's great too. Right, so all of these front lines are somewhat stabilizing. Except for green. Yeah. And up here we are not having the success that we wanted. So maybe if we can go over there and simultaneously over here. 64%. Yeah, so we are dealing enough damage, I believe, that we might just be able to take them on. And here we go. So that's a good result now, and we can organize that like such. And that's cool. 3 dockyards. We really don't have the steel, so I don't think it does make any difference. But let's produce some convoys. And that is cool. Right, and up here, you guys might as well try to support the attack. And why are they not advancing to there? Alright. So things are starting to shape up. At least on the east coast. Over here, that's nice that you did that, but maybe you can just take it out. Any other place where we could... I guess we could really shorten the front line over here. If we do attack into this province. Don't want to do too many attacks at the same time. I think our divisions really need some rest. Potentially even the Menshikayan divisions are still severely under strength, so yeah, they don't have any manpower, and we could see over here that some of their divisions really took a heavy beating and are not getting the reinforcements that we need, so we will need to deal with that at some point. We do have the Mangokayan army here in Asia still, so that is something that we might want to push over into the Americas. Speaking of the Americas, the last provinces of Mexico are seemingly will fall, I think, very soon. So that's another 4 divisions who are gonna surrender, and that's an extremely good result. In terms of intelligence, we do think that the Americans at this point still have about 300 divisions. Maybe a little bit less, so we are seeing some success. But yeah, you can see also some of these attacks up here are incredibly difficult for us to deal with. So it's not all easy going for us. Right, you might come up over here. You're attacking into that province, so that's okay. Let's try to push aggressively into there. Boston. We might want to take out Canada quickly, if we can. So okay, let's attack this province and then try to capture these Canadian victory points. You don't really need to come here. Do come to Ottawa. Let's also take a look at the air war. So on the west coast we see a lot of enemy fighters and aircraft. We see that over the last month or so we have lost 13 fighters. And we've been bombed quite a bit. But on the other hand, the Americans lost some fighters and a lot of bombers, a lot of support. So yeah, that's good to see. All in all, I think our aircraft are gaining some experience and all of that, so that's nice. Ideally, we should also set up a group for New England, so let's set up at least a couple of fighters. We do have a lot of them in reserve. And you guys should hopefully be able to cover a little bit of New England in terms of an air superiority role. And also interception. Good. Middle West, that's alright. Over here on the southwest we do have some airfields now that would allow us to move our forces a little bit closer towards the contended airspace. So yeah, you can move up there. You're 400 group. How about you? You're all 400s. 600 air wings down here. 400 aircraft up here. So you're coming up there. You are more or less alright, so I think 400 ground support can be sent over there. And these 200 aircraft we will send over here and over the central USA region as well. We do know about 600 enemy aircraft are present in the region, and that's a little bit high for my taste. 600 here, okay, that's alright. So we are now outnumbering them by about 2 to 1, or will be very shortly. Sorry about the noise. And there we go. So yeah, all in all, we are doing fine. These 400 aircraft, I think we'll be able to send up somewhere over here over New England also very soon. I would like to keep them over here for a second while we're dealing with this last bit, so let's try to see how quickly they will fall. Yeah, it might take a while. Bring more reinforcements, but then I think we should be alright. You guys, can't you just come up over here via railroad? I think that'd be much better. Good. Our Marines are starting to come into position as well. That's brilliant to see. And you know what? In fact, I think all of you should be part of this front. Right, there we go. And things over here. Yeah, so we are starting to see that the Americans are walking by the northern part of the Great Lakes. I think we should try to get Buffalo so that they at least need to get via Detroit and not the Buffalo region. So yeah, let's try to push onto this area and hopefully make some progress there. You can also see another nuclear reactor over here in Pennsylvania. I'm not sure whether this is considered ours at this moment, but I certainly would hope that at some point we can get it. Let's try to capture Buffalo. I think that's a high priority right now. Yeah, on the other hand, some good attacks over here, so pretty happy about these into the sort of upstate New England, New York territories. Do we want to capture this airfield? Don't think it's quite as crucial as Boston at this second. And you know, maybe even this area, so that they can't even get via Detroit. Buffalo itself is gonna fall rapidly, I think. 13 divisions they have up here. Really depends on whether they can get any reinforcements in. Yeah, but every time we attack, they will be having another chance to reinforce. Okay, autosave, 1st of January 1964. 46, I mean. Right, there we go, that's great. Let's try to advance further. Of course, that's going to fail. Unless we can reinforce. There we go, and they're now shuffling forces all over the place. Okay, what I need you to do is capture... I think this is the closest route to close off the entire way across the Great Lakes there. Also make sure this front line is sort of as minimal as required. Yeah, good. Alright, and up here we really need to re-establish our front line a little bit. These Marines down here are fine, I believe, but ultimately I think this green push here is not going as well as it should really. So let's stop some of these attacks. I think it's alright to... They did their job. The main thing was to stop them from advancing into the north too quickly. So yeah, we are making some progress. Pittsburgh, I think, is to a large extent ours, or Pennsylvania, I should say. Pittsburgh itself isn't. But actually, why isn't it? It's just right here. So let's try to capture it. Yeah, send some forces over there. And yeah, we did capture Buffalo, so that is very nice, I think. That will allow us to push, to establish a front line up here that's going to be a little bit more stable, and then push against the Americans. The Americans themselves, at this point, have lost 6 million. Our losses are starting to pile up, as we are pushing much more aggressively into the United States at this point. But I'm not sure whether they'll be holding out for that much longer. Certainly down here they don't even seem to have any opposition, so why don't we actually advance? So that's you, right? Manchu 2? Yes. You should advance. Manchu 1 should also advance. Yeah. So capturing some of these victory points would be splendid for us. We have very little intelligence on the disposition of these guys, but what I do know is that I generally would like everyone to advance into empty provinces. I just don't get this aspect of the game. Why don't you do that on yourself anyway? Good. Okay, that was not actually empty. But you know what? For example, this army. Fast army. You can push ahead. There's nothing over there. So let's send you up over there. 23 divisions. And where's the last one? Oh, down here. Maybe do come by railroad. Good. Alright, but I do think that was some very nice success. But I think it is about time that we put an end to this episode. And next time we'll maybe see the United States collapsing. Maybe they'll be able to drop a nuke on us first. But we will have to see. So it's going to be an interesting 1946. Let's see whether we want to do anything about the Germans or anything like that. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.